2, 1, and here we go. Hey guys, my name is Lerod Smalls, and yes, this is Rise of the Black Warrior podcast. So, coming at you today from the office, I'm feeling really good, and I want to share this idea with you. So, here we go. Now, had a great conversation with my wife last night, and we were talking about my son. So, this episode is really going to give some perspective and could give some advice to some couples and specifically to some husbands of wives that love to nurture, and let's call it nurture, because that's, we're going to subdue it down a little bit. I want to say baby, I want to say coddle, there's a lot of different terms I really want to use, but I'm going to say nurture, okay? Nurture their sons. Not that they do it for their daughters or whatever, but the adverse effect on over nurturing a son could be catastrophic, and I had this conversation with my mother-in-law, I have this conversation with everybody about how you could basically, kill your kids by over loving them. And I don't want to say like love, you got to share love with them, but when you're so protective because of love, you feel this love for them, and you just want to put them in a little box, you actually hurt them because they actually need to be hurt a little bit in order to grow. And me and my wife had this intense conversation back and forth because she doesn't want nothing to happen to this dude, right? Like, she wants to protect this dude from everything, like anything, another kid, a parent, anybody who's messing with my son, Lerod, he's the second. She wants to protect this guy. He happens to be our oldest, my oldest of 3. And because he's the first one, I think she's got this overprotective connection with him. And because he's experiencing things first, being the oldest, she's like always on the lookout for what's happening. And I keep trying to share with her that, he's got to grow into and grow through things so that he can get tougher. I mean, kids are like the skin on your feet. All right, now let's make I'll make it simple for you guys. Look at a baby's skin, especially on their feet and in their butt, but specifically for their feet, okay? Super soft skin, all right? When they're born, their feet are like soft, like you want to rub them on your face. Their feet are so soft and everything else. But over time, something happens. Now, why does it happen and what needed to happen? And let's just talk about that for a second. Your feet are the focal point, like they're the point where your body gets to meet the ground. Like, you will not be able to go anywhere without your feet. So it stands to reason that your feet must be strong and must be tough. You take a baby and you put your baby on the beach in some warm or even not even that hot sand, just warm sand. They crunch up. They want to get on the little blanket or whatever you got. They don't want to run around on the sand. Ask yourself why. Because their skin is not prepared for it. It's not rough enough yet. They haven't developed the calluses yet. See, the feet they need a certain amount of callus in order to be tough enough so that you can walk around on them and they be able to withstand just even the slightest amount of grit. How does it do that? It's because it has to get destroyed. Your soft skin has to be rubbed and burned and destroyed over time. And that's what a callus is. Look at your hands. Like, a man who works with his hands every day, you'll see they have these calluses. Now, where does that come from? It comes from rubbing the skin, damaging the skin, hurting the skin. And over time, your skin just says, you know what? I got to get tougher to handle the job that I'm being faced with. Your feet get tougher to handle the job that it's faced with. Kids get tougher when they go through adversity to live through what it is that they got to do. They need it. They actually need to be roughed up a little bit. A kid who's never been punched in the face will become a man who does not know how to handle himself. More importantly, a man that may be talking out of turn and don't realize that they are talking reckless until another grown man punches him in the face. Now, I would much rather be a kid that learns how to handle myself and gets punched in the face as a kid than to be a grown man and have never experienced that and then somebody punched me in my face. That's shocking. You don't want to experience that as a grown man. You want to go through that as a kid. Oh, wow, I shouldn't have said that. Oh, that's what happens when I snitch and I do that? Oh, like I went to a college where there was a lot of privileged kids there. Let's just say it like that, right? Like I was one of very few black kids in the school, and not just like black kids, and I couldn't be privileged. Let's get that clear, right? But I was one of very few in the minority there, especially from the hood of Brooklyn. Like I was like the one, the only one, and there were a lot of kids that that they came from affluent backgrounds. A lot of them had never really been through anything. They were over-nurtured, over-loved, right? So some of their experiences for the first time were crazy for them, even in college. Like, yo, they're gonna have a fight, I'm like a fight. So what? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is how you get through life. But the problem for those kids was they never experienced it when they were in their early ages, in the malleable time when they could have really got something out of it and become something tougher and become something stronger. That's what I want for my son. I want my wife to love him and protect him beyond the things that he can't do for himself. But he's got to learn how to get out of situations himself. He's got to learn how to talk his way out of things. He got to learn how to take a punch, how to give a punch, be put in a tight spot and be able to do something. So you got to ask yourself, are you over-nurturing? Are you over-loving your kid, protecting them so much to the point that they're not getting tough? That they're not getting what they got to get out of it to be strong enough? And men, we have an obligation to our sons to make sure that we protect that part that they need. We have to protect them from even their mothers. We've got to protect them so that they can actually go through the experiences that will make them strong enough to be strong men. So here I am, middle of the night, laying in the bed with my wife, having this conversation, and then I had to tell her this story. I'm gonna share this story with you guys, okay? So there's a story of this caterpillar, all right? Now, I don't remember where I got this story from, but I got it. It sunk down into my brain, and it really connected with her. She got it. And maybe you'll be able to do something with it. But either way, I'm giving you this freaking story. So there was a guy who used to go to work in the city, and he used to go catch a bus. And at this bus stop, there was a little old lady, and she used to sit there. She was there every single day. They were at the same time. He would go there. There was a little branch, right, that was hanging over right by the bus stop. And on this bus stop, at this little branch, he could see a caterpillar that was crawling there, was spinning up, creating a little cocoon. And he was amazed by that. He was like, oh, wow, look at that. This dude is making a cocoon. He could see it. So cool. Day after day, he would come back. He's checking out this little cocoon as it's growing and developing, right? That's his routine. The lady sees him checking it out. He's checking it out. Now, one day, he sees this thing totally developed. He's starting to connect to this thing. Like, this is his caterpillar, his cocoon, his nature situation. He's watching this thing. But he sees a little pinhole at the bottom. And he could see that this caterpillar is trying to poke its way out. He's like, wow, look at this. This thing is happening. It's trying to come out. This thing is trying to come out. So he's excited about that. He's talking about it all day. Comes back the next day. He's looking at it. Man, this thing hasn't got out yet. Something is gotta be wrong. This little hole, he cannot get out. He's fighting. He's trying to get out. So, in his heart of hearts, he reaches in his breast pocket and he pulls out his pen. He's got a little ink pen. And he just makes the slightest little small cut, like a little incision right on the cocoon, right by the hole, right? Just to open it up a little bit. And when he does that, it cracks open and then a glop falls out. Falls out off the branch, hits the floor, splat. Nasty. He looks and he's like, what the hell? And the little old lady gets up from her bench and walks over and said, what the hell are you doing? Why would you do that? Why would you kill that butterfly? And he said, I didn't kill it. I loved it. I checked it out all the time. You saw me checking it out all the time. All I did was open the hole a little bit because he couldn't get out. She said to him, well, let me tell you this. The reason why the hole is so small is because that little caterpillar needs to force all the fluid that builds up in those newly created wings and must force it all out into the wings. And by squeezing himself out of that teeny little hole, he forces the fluid out into the wings and stretches it all out. So by the time he actually comes out of the cocoon, all the fluid is spread out, stretched out, is thin, and he can now be a butterfly and can fly. So what you, in a sense, did was you took away the struggle that he needed to become who he needed to become. And that's the story. And I really want you guys to let that soak in, is that all of us, we need a struggle. We need a struggle in order to become greater than we are right now. See, that caterpillar had to endure something, had to go through something. And because that man, out of love, thought he was helping, thought he was trying to circumvent the system, thought he was going to try to make it easier, and what he did was destroy him altogether, because now he's unprepared. He's unprepared for the world. He has not become, he didn't create the callus, just like our kids' feet or our hands for work. He did not become strong enough in order for him to fight and fly. He did not, because he didn't go through the struggle. Now, ask yourself this. Where in your life, for whatever, you're trying to get away from the struggle. You don't want to struggle. You don't like the struggle. You try to sedate. You try to do everything you can to stop the struggle. You don't want the pain. But I'm going to tell you, we need the pain. We need it. And we cannot try to do things to keep us away from the pain, because what it does is it hurts us from becoming something greater. Just like the lobster. I love animal stories, but I got this story from this rabbi. This guy was telling a story on the internet. It was really quick. But he talks about how a lobster has to grow, and a lobster just gets a hard shell, a very rigid shell. And the thing with a lobster is, it can't stretch. This lobster shell doesn't grow and expand. He just has to get rid of it. So what he does is, once it gets too tight, he grows into it. He feels the pressure inside the shell. He goes under rocks, he sheds the shell, and then he grows another one. He goes under rocks, of course, so nobody don't eat him, right? But he pops on a new shell, grows it, he comes back out, he's chilling, he's doing his thing. Soon as he feels he's growing too much and he's about to outgrow his shell again, what does he do? Goes back under rock, grows another shell. Now, the thing about that is that he knows that he needs a new shell soon as he feels the pain and the pressure. When he feels the pain and the pressure, he knows, all right, it's time for me to do that. But what we do is, soon as we feel some pain and pressure, we go over-medicate. We take an Advil, we take an aspirin, we take flu medicine, cold medicine, none of it to actually fix the problems in our life, only to get rid of the symptoms. But the symptoms are the indicators that tell us whether we're doing good or bad, whether something is hurting or not. Our bodies let us know. Our world, our entire world gives us signals. See, a kid who's getting in trouble all the time, that's a signal that something else is happening. You don't want to go and try to attack the teachers because they're the ones that's the problem. There's a problem that's the root that you got to deal with. If he's fighting with, your kid is fighting with other kids all the time, there's a problem, there's a reason why he's always fighting. And you got to get to the root of that. You don't want to stop the symptom, right? You don't want to stop that or the end result. You want to really get to the root of it. And that's it. So I had to tell my wife that. And I hope that she got that message, and she might be listening. Again, to be like, listen, baby, you heard the story twice now. Now, we're going to love this guy, but we're going to leave him. We're going to give him a chance to grow. We're going to give him a chance to squeeze out of his little hole and become tougher. We're going to watch him as he goes under the rock and builds a new shell when things get tough, right? And he'll know. He'll know when it's time. He'll know. And you know. Listen, guys, I'm excited that we had this chance to get together. Yes, This is Rise of the Black Warrior podcast. I'm so excited. You guys, for those that are watching me, thank you so much. I want you to definitely share this with everybody else on YouTube. Share this online. Share this video. Maybe there's another father or husband or wife that could really use this message. If you're checking us out on iTunes, please don't forget to like and subscribe. If you're catching us on Spotify, like, subscribe, share with everybody that you know. And definitely you can check us out on our podcast page at podcast.riseoftheblackwarrior.net. Share this with everybody that you know that could be in need of this particular message. Again, my name is LeRod Smalls. Love you guys. Thank you so much. Remember, you're just one decision away from changing your whole world. Peace.